Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with Johnny Nelson MBE. Johnny, good to see you. Good to see you as well too. Thriving. You've got your own YouTube channel, podcast, also DJ set as well. You're keeping your hands busy.
Yeah, keep me busy. I think every Thursday we get out that boxing show out on YouTube. It's all right. We just general chat. It's not like your normal boxing YouTube. We talk more sports, music, mindset. It's all right. It's just some nice stories, and that's it. So we've got a nice little setup. My partner in crime is Andy Nicholson. He's a former bass guitarist of the Arctic Monkeys. So we're going to get a few musicians on as well, just to talk about the ins and outs of inside and outside the camera.
And stuff. Hopefully, I get to see a lot more of your YouTube channel. I got to see you ringside at the bare knuckle the other week, watching the action unfold. Conor McGregor was in attendance too, alongside yourself. Look, bare knuckle, a very interesting prospect, and we've seen some fighters crossing over into that scene to varying degrees of success. James DeGale got the victory in this last outing against Matty Floyd, but was it comfortable viewing for you in the light of James DeGale's successes inside a boxing ring?
Well, it's a complete, seeing that, it tells me it's a completely different set of specials you need. Of course, you need the cojones to get in there in the first place. But James DeGale in that situation there, remember that's the back end of James DeGale is a pugilist, as a boxer, Queensberry fighter. Now he's entering the original world of bare knuckle fighting. That's where it all began. And so the rules don't apply the same. You know, when you want to try and stand off and keep them off, that it doesn't work like that. A man can rush and put in the pressure. I thought what I saw of James, I thought his legs aren't there. So I don't know if that's because of the change of sports in regards to how he's trying to position himself as a former boxer, now a bare knuckle fighter, or his legs have just gone. That's not the best version of James. Again, if he's considering getting involved in it again afterwards, Austin Trout reached out to me, former world champion, and he's now a world champion at bare knuckle. That's a fight they're tooting for. They're trying to get James in with Austin Trout bare knuckle. I know Conor McGregor, that's his outfit, BKFC, and it's building up slowly but sure. You can tell because when the crowd are there and the security's telling the crowd to constantly sit down. They stood up for a reason. And that's the kind of excitement, the barbaric gladiatorial excitement that it created. So it's either your palate or it's not your palate. I personally wouldn't do it, but I'd watch. And those boys are tough. They're tough, and I've got to give it to him. There's a young kid called Joe Lister. He got him with a guy called Sean Weir. Sean Weir came from Scotland. This guy's a proper hitman from up in Scotland, and they're really building this kid up. And Joe Lister, he got in there with Sean, and he got him down the first round. But it is brutal, man. If it goes the distance, they've done well. It's 5 2-minute rounds. James DeGale's fight went the distance, but I thought, wow. What you thinking, man? Why would you do that? But it was interesting, to say the least. I think they must have about 4,000 or 5,000 people in the AO arena, so they did well.
Should boxing look over its shoulder, considering you mentioned about how many there were in the arena? They seem to be there from the first fight until the end, from what I saw, which isn't often the case with boxing. People kind of flitter in and out and maybe don't turn up until the main event or the fight that they specifically bought a ticket to see, and then go off into the rest of the night. So is it a full package where it could be competing in boxing in that sort of sense?
Well, the difference is every fight, even if you're not supporting the two combatants in the ring, it's edge of the seat kind of excitement, because the fight can end any single second. The finesse of hit and move and the boxing art and style and precision and timing, that's gone. This is mano a mano. It's just get stuck in. So you can't disappear and go to the toilet and go for a drink. You can't do that. You've got to stay, because that's what you're there for. You're going to watch. So if you can palate it and you're into it, you're going to enjoy it. And so that's why if security are constantly telling people to sit down, because they're that excited, jumped up, getting that drawn into it. What can boxing learn from it? Well, they've got to try and make fighter A fight fighter B number one, and that's kind of it really. They've got to try and pit the best against the best. Boxing and bare knuckle are um, two different talents, should I say. But the one talent you're both going to have in common is being able to fight. And if you can't fight, like we saw with Nad Mansouri, he got knocked spark out. And I've seen other ex-professional, good professional fighters get knocked out. So don't think because you're a professional boxer, you can go into the world of bare knuckle fighting and be successful. But he don't, because it doesn't work like that.
Fighter A and Fighter B getting into the ring, number one and number two for a long time has been a problem in getting those fights over the line, and it's seen a move to make that happen more often with Dana White introducing Zuffa Boxing and TKO into the scene. That's now got over the line, and they've got broadcasting partnership over in the USA with Paramount. How do you think this will shake up the current landscape of boxing with Dana White seeming to now have more momentum behind what he's going to offer?
Well, don't be surprised if it doesn't stay over there in the States.
What does that mean?
Don't be surprised if it doesn't stay over there in the States.
What do you know?
I don't think it'll stay just there. I think it's a successful model that could really take off. Dana White's found a formula that works, and so just don't be surprised if it makes its way overseas.
How does it how does it compare from a fighter's perspective to go to what Dana's offering to what an Eddie, Frank Warren, and Ben Shalom can offer right now?
Well, it's I suppose it's a bit more transparent. I suppose um, it's just again, Dana's bringing something to the game that is saying, I want to make it attractive to you. I want you to want to get a piece of this. I want you to think, you know what, if I can fight, I'm going to get the opportunity. A loss doesn't mean anything, and that's what he's got to bring. That same excitement, the same maths that he created in the MMA to boxing. He's got to bring that, and if he can do that, and he can figure it out, and he's got the backing, I think him and Turkey get on well. I think his format is looks attractive on paper. Then why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it work?
Johnny, I want to ask you a couple of things in terms of being a man in the know. We're currently waiting for Sky to make their move with a man with their ear to the ground and finger in the pulse. What do you know about the current situation as to Sky's return to boxing?
Sky's return to boxing. It's not returned. They probably just had a bit of time out and getting their ducks in order. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's as far as I know. Because Sky had been in boxing for far, far, far too long. And if they wanted to blitz everybody, they could do. Remember, boxing is that in regards to Sky as an organization, and so they can take the time. They can be out for a year and still come back full force. So they've not been out. They're just rearranging.
Ben Shalom has recently seemed to get a deal over the line with Turkey Al Sheikh. We don't know what the movement is or what the details of that deal are, but he's got his offering on the BBC with Boxer. BBC iPlayer is going to be hosting the undercard, and then BBC Two has the main event of Fraser Clark versus Jamie TKV. Boxing back on the BBC terrestrial TV, is that a good move on the whole for boxing fans?
Of course it is. If you're a boxing fan, if it's there, it's there. I did say when I was on Talk Sport the other day, I know Frank Warren, was a bit perturbed about it being on the same night as his show, but I don't think it'll touch the sides, and that's no dissing to the fighters. The fighters are great fighters. I just think the BBC is a platform. I just don't see how they would push the advertising, push the audience to a Saturday night as much as the other channels that are now traditional channels to get the people out. It's BBC Two, number one. How often are you going to see a crossover advert to say, click over to BBC Two, such and such is on? And number two, what about the grassroots? If BBC Two are only showing the two headliners, you've got to build up your grassroots, because when your two headliners have gone, how are you going to get that next crowd to switch on to BBC Two to get excited about it? I know BBC iPlayer is there to get a percentage of the undercard, but it's just a slow, as I see it, I think it's just it'll be a very, very slow transition. So I don't think for the time being, it will touch the sides in regards to what Frank's doing, what Eddie's doing, what Sky do.
In terms of the big fights we got to look forward to, we have the rematch with Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn creeping up on us, so waiting kind of for that to happen, as there's a little bit of a lull with respect to the boxing schedule. A lot of comments came from Eubank Jr. as to how he feels he was dealt with off the back of the first fight, starting off with the ambulance being delayed and the finger pointed towards where he felt blame was apportioned. But Eubank Jr. chose that moment to make those comments.
You know what? I rate Junior because he doesn't give two tosses. He doesn't care. Everybody's got it. Robert Smith got it. Eddie got it. And the person that got it the least was Conor. So I think Chris is one of those guys that he hasn't really got time for boxing folk. He steps in, does his business, makes his money, and steps out. He doesn't care what carnage is left behind. The things he said, and the accusations he laid out, I think are a bit far-fetched. But if you're looking at it from Chris's point of view, why wouldn't you think that? I don't believe that is the case, but there may be one or two other things in regards to Billy Joe Saunders going to the dressing room. But there's stuff in regards to making the ambulance late and stuff like that. People have responsibilities they've got to stick to. So there's no way in a million years you can cajole, hoodwink, talk people into not being safe in regards to that. But if you were Chris in an ambulance bed, of course you're going to think that. You're thinking, why can't I get out of here? I've been in those venues and it takes ages in the day to get out. So maybe the other option is to get a helicopter, on standby. I think that's legit. Get a helicopter on standby to get people out because the traffic's ridiculous when you get out some of those venues. And so to me, that's. But then someone's got to pay for it. Put it down to the promoter, whoever's putting it on. But I think that's an option. So Chris was probably, pissed off at everybody because he's thinking, I'm in hospital. I could die here. Why am I not getting out? Why is this not the stage, not the situation? So I understand where he's coming from. But I also understand Robert Smith is actually a pretty straight guy. I did feel for Robert, but it's not my fight. It's not my argument. I don't know what else has gone on between Robert, the boxing board, and Eubank. But Robert Smith's a pretty straight guy, and he tries to do the best by everybody. It's not an easy position to be in because everybody's pulling you left, right, and centre, trying to show them favour. And so I get that. In regards to Eddie, I think in regards to the press conference, nothing changed from the last time. Eddie's clearly pissed off because he's thinking, no, I'm going to sue you because it's defamation of character, what you're saying about me or my company. And that this just isn't about this press conference. This is about my business. So again, but Chris doesn't give two tosses because he's saying what's in his heart and soul, and what he believes and what he thinks. And if he's willing to pay another fine for speaking his truth, then he's willing to fall on his sword and doing that.
My laugh wasn't born out of your suggestion of promoters or whoever it is having to pay for a helicopter. It was more because you said it takes forever in a day sometimes to get out of the venue. That's probably because we got us guys trying to grab a minute of your time before.
Yeah, exactly. But traffic wise, I know. I can remember when I was in Tottenham, it was like I was sat in traffic for like 2 hours. So I get it, and I get it. If you're the patient, you're thinking, come on, what's going on here? I mean, I've got blue lights off. Blue lights are up there. So you've got to look at it from both sides of both points of view.
Do you expect Eubank Jr. to deliver an apology?
No. Someone will, but it won't come from Chris.
What do you think changes? What do you think changes in the rematch? We've seen that Eubank Jr. has brought in Bo Mack as opposed to Jonathan Banks from the first fight. Conor Benn is saying that he's going to be boxing without emotion. Don't know if he can do that, but what do you think actually changes in terms of
If I'm honest with you, I think Conor needs emotion. Emotion needs to be there. It needs to be raw. But you can control it. You can let your emotions out, but control it. Yeah, control it. Let it off, though, leash at times. But so I think his emotion has actually gave him so much success. The reason why I've sided with Conor in regards to this fight is because because when I look at Chris, I just think what he gave that night, I don't think there's anything left to give. I don't think there's any room left for him to give because of the weight and everything. All the conditions are the same. So I don't know how he's got no more push left in it. Whereas when I saw Conor fight, I thought you've got a little bit left in the tank there. You've got a bit more improvement to be made on that. Whereas I didn't see it with Chris. So that's what I'm saying. So kind of saying, well, there's going to be less emotion. Emotion's good. His emotion's good. He needs that fire in his belly. He needs to think with his heart and his head, because what makes the Ben. That's what makes the Ben. That's how his dad was. So that's what makes Conor so successful. So he needs that. So I wouldn't disregard that. When that instinct kicks in, take it, because there's not many fighters have that instinct to attack when most fighters haven't got it.
So you think Conor Benn's going to win this time?
I do, yeah, I
There
do.
is there was the little thread that Benjamin was suggesting maybe that Eubank Jr. might not adhere to the rehydration clause or whatever it is the second
Okay,
time round,
so
and that
so
might.
so, so if that is the case, then we have to relook at that. But as I said earlier on, if the conditions are exactly the same as the last time, I'm going with Conor Benn, because Eubank had nothing left to give. It's like having a bottle of water, pouring everything out. There's not left to give. And that's why whereas Conor had something left to give. So therefore, he's got this improvement to be made there. I don't know how Chris could improve on that performance with the conditions being exactly the same.
John, you've been in the ring extensively looking at that fight. Do you feel it took something out of Eubank Jr.?
Without a doubt, both fighters end up in the hospital. Without a doubt, his big toenail dropped off. Without a doubt. So if it's getting to that point, all those conditions, all the build-up and everything around it, if you end up not in hospital, totally dehydrated, only a fool would think it's not going to take anything out of a fighter. Of course it did. And so again, when you've got to get yourself back down to there again, if the conditions are the same, why would you expect the outcome to be better than the last time?
Where do you stand in terms of the battle for winning the public narrative? Eubank Jr. was adamant to shut down talk that Conor Benn was the people's champ, but also the side of kind of who is kind of detrimenting themselves when it comes to actually taking the fight. Second time round that Chris Eubank Jr. has agreed to take on this, although it's contracted, we believe, to adhere to those terms. You can say that it is onus to reject it if he wanted, or come to the table and try to negotiate that. But also from the point of view that Conor Benn is also bringing himself up, and he's also accepted to come up to that weight. So in terms of kind of who's winning that narrative battle, who do you think has that in the pocket right now?
Chris Jr. is in the driving seat for this, without a doubt. And Chris, the things that have been agreed to are down to Chris. That's why the fight was rescheduled, because it's like, you go away for me. You need me. For both fighters currently, that's the biggest purse, the biggest fight out there for each other. Chris won the fight, and he makes it quite clear. And the adulation, the respect, and the attention he got from the public, he he was pleasantly surprised, and I get it. But then again, Conor was well. You saw a side to Conor. You thought, you know what? It's hard to dismiss what has happened in his history. But Conor, he's a nice kid, but it's just hard because of the history that's gone on.
What about the current status of the two leading British heavyweights in the form of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, who won't be fighting, it seems, this year, although maybe that could change as boxing does change pretty quickly. But Anthony Joshua specifically had the target of winning a world title this year, or the fight with Tyson Fury. Those two things don't seem to materialize.
Yeah, I think you're seeing the departure of two top tier heavyweights at that point of their career. One, it could be through hunger. Two, it could be from complacency, ticked all the boxes that there. So of course, we'll always get into the subject of these two guys, because especially AJ, what he did for British boxing. So it always seems like we're always talking about him, because his achievements were second to none. For Tyson Fury, his achievements again were outstanding. So this is why we go on to it. So before your comments jump in saying why these guys talking about these guys again, that is the reason why. I think Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury have got to be wise in the decision of who the next opponent is for both of them, because number one, if at the back end of their career they don't want to go out on a devastating loss. Number two, on the back end of their career, they want to go out on a fight that financially compensates them to be worth their while, because none of them need to fight. So this is now business more than show. This is now business. So they've got to make the right move.
There's a rumor that's suggesting right now that Derek Chisora could find himself in his 50th fight against Deontay Wilder. How does that shake out if it is the case?
Good scalp. Good scalp. Deontay Wilder's not the fighter he was. Deontay Wilder is still the fighter that has value to his name, even though he's not the fighter he was. And for Derek Chisora, this version of Deontay Wilder, I'd say, yeah, do it. That's going to be it. Do it. Because Deontay Wilder's a big name. And Shelley Finkel's got to be smart with where he places Deontay, because each time he loses, his value drops. So right now, his name still has value to it in certain areas. So he's got to be smart about who he puts him in with.
Do you know what the holdup is with Daniel Dubois announcing his new trainer?
Well, you hear many things about who he's training with. I don't know why there is a hold up, but I'm quite sure at the same time he'll announce who and when he's fighting again too.
I had just an interview previous to yourself. I won't name the name, but people can watch out and see who it's with. It's a fighter in the heavyweight division who's mentioning that they've got everything right now. They're training well, they're motivated, but something isn't clicking within them, and they don't know what it is. They've tried to make a trainer adjustment. They've tried to change a few things, tried to find out and search from different fighters as to why there's just this block in front of them, and they can't. It feels like they're getting instructions, but they can't affect that in front of them, despite being in the condition to fight. They've got offers in front of them, and good offers to take them for those fights, but they just can't find. They describe themselves as a car without the fuel. What have you ever been in that position in your career, Johnny? And what's the answer to going through that block?
Take the chance. It sounds like this fighter is in a position of influence. This fighter is in a position of opportunity, and so the handlers, the people around him, have got to make sure they make the right move. This fighter, um, this fight is obviously struggling to better himself. So therefore, they've just got to take the chance, because otherwise, this year will turn to next year, and the year after that, and the year after the next, 4 years down the line, and think, damn it, I should have done it 4 years ago. So you've got to take the chance. If you're at that stage now, if they acknowledge what's happening, what the issue is.
Johnny, finally, Ricky Hatton, of course, the passing of Ricky is still impacting the boxing industry, not really knowing how to kind of react to it, but his legend will live on from Manchester and further on. Just what was your reaction to hearing the news that Ricky is no longer with us?
Absolutely gutted for Ricky and his family. Absolutely gutted for everybody that's left behind. I think I think guys like you and me that are commenting on it, we had to give the family time to, one, be aware of this, when the news broke on Sunday morning, and two, give them time to grieve. Ricky, he suffered a lot of self-doubt, self-confidence, amazingly. You think Ricky Hatton, but that was part of the issue, and he spoke about mental health issues, and so and Ricky's gone now. So wherever he is, he's at peace, hopefully. Now you've got to think about his family and the people that are left behind, how they deal with it. Ricky, if he could look down wherever he is, he could see the love and adulation from the public that was there. That was legit. But Ricky, Ricky had to find peace within himself, and it seemed like he just couldn't find peace within himself, which is sad, but it's not abnormal. There's a lot of people in that situation. It's how you find your peace. Being able to speak to somebody that gets you, being able to speak to somebody that can bring the best out in you.
Johnny, I want to thank you for speaking to me. I want to thank you as well too. I said it in a message, but I say on the record as well too. Your time and lending your voices helped me get shortlisted for Asian Media Awards Sports Journalist of the Year.
Yeah,
So appreciate that.
Congratulations. You're well deserved. Well deserved.
I appreciate it, and can't get there without people like yourself lending your voice to me. So much appreciated.